Today we will be talking about stress tolerance in the workplace. So stress, as defined by the APA, is a feeling of being overwhelmed, worried, or run down. So stress can occur and arrive in a variety of ways. Any individual, regardless of their age, their background, their gender, or their physical or mental state, can be prone to stress. And stress can manifest itself physically in our thoughts and behaviors and in how we interact, and it can definitely affect our emotions. There is such a thing as a healthy amount of stress, which can boost one's productivity. So if they work under a good amount of pressure, they can be enabled to complete a project to the best of their ability or meet a deadline in time. However, copious amounts of stress that go beyond that healthy level I just described can lead to a lot of negative health effects, which include anxiety, depression, irritability, high blood pressure, heart disease, and other unhealthy physical coping mechanisms such as overeating or undereating, substance abuse, or substance addiction, which then lead to a bunch of other health problems. There are three different types of stress that were outlined by the American Psychological Association. First, there is acute stress, which is just our daily, normal, everyday stress, the stress that can lead to healthy amounts of productivity, such as having to meet deadlines, such as encountering workplace challenges that help us grow and help us overcome obstacles, or perhaps your child is experiencing minor problems at school that can contribute to a sense of acute stress. There's episodic acute stress, where this is less severe than chronic stress, but this relates to unrelenting worry, having a type A aggressive personality where small issues that can be solved or resolved are often magnified. A person with episodic acute stress may be thrown off by the everyday conflicts at work, such as an unexpected email or constructive criticism by a colleague or by their boss. And this type of person is just in a constant state of arousal or over arousal. They tend to have a pessimistic outlook or a negative outlook on the circumstances. And then finally, there's chronic stress, where that is a long term serious discomfort, a long term sense of misery, which can be due to being in poverty or working in a miserable job or having encountered a traumatic family event, grieving the loss of a family member or friend, or going through an awful marriage and subsequent divorce. The effects of chronic stress are very serious. They can lead to suicide, heart attack, stroke, or in some cases, cancer. As I mentioned earlier, there are many causes to stress: traumatic events, poorly managed stressors that build up over time. So, even the daily stressors of driving through traffic on the way to work, or problems your child is experiencing at school, or conflicts with a colleague, if those stressors are not handled in a positive or productive way, they can culminate into worse health or mental emotional effects that could lead to the more chronic forms of stress I mentioned in the previous slide. Workplace stress and busy demands can contribute to one's overall stress level. This can be attributed to a high workload or the type of work that someone is in. For example, if someone is in the social work industry or in the counseling field or the medical field, that requires a lot of attention and emotional strain on a person. Another large factor to stress is money. People are stressed about their finances and making ends meet. Another factor attributed to stress is worrying about whether or not someone has access to health care and health insurance. So, the presence of stress in a person's life can definitely affect and organization's performance. For example, if an organization is highly stressful, they can experience higher levels of absenteeism where employees are not showing up, or simply wear and tear. Um, Employees can be worn down and not as productive or not as positive in the workplace. This can lead to lowered productivity or even lower quality of work where more mistakes are being made. So, stress that goes untreated in the workplace can lead to escalated encounters with others. So, the individual who has the unresolved stress may poorly communicate with their colleagues. Managers under stress that have to deal with high demands, um, many stakeholders to attend to, they can make poor leadership decisions, which then affects the organization's performance and affects their relationships with the team members. Another interesting fact is that a higher level of stress is related to lowered emotional intelligence. So, individuals that reported lower stress coping mechanisms or unresolved stress also had lower emotional intelligence. So, one of the components of emotional intelligence is being able to tolerate stress. So, according to one study, individuals that were assessed under a stressed mindset versus a normal, relaxed mindset showed significant differences in their emotional intelligence scores, as much as by 20 points. So some organizations still have not yet recognized that there is a connection between the presence of stress and work performance, thus are trying to outperform other organizations, trying to produce the most products or produce the most services they possibly can for profit, but are failing to recognize how high demands and high pressure can lead to more stress for their employees and thus more chronic symptoms over the long haul. Also, and both employees and managers undergo many hidden stressors that culminate over time, but they recognize those stressors as normal. So they don't even think to address what could be bothering them. So then this begs the question, how can people better endure challenging situations and avoid the repercussions that come with stress? And I think that first comes with identification of the stressors and identification of those triggers. So, stress tolerance, as defined by Stephen Stein and Howard Book in the book The EQ Edge, is that stress tolerance is the ability to withstand adverse events and stressful situations without developing physical or emotional symptoms by actively and positively coping with stress. So, it's a matter of engaging in healthy habits and approaching each situation and challenge with wisdom and a positive attitude. And we'll get into some specific ways in just a moment. So, some suggestions in one article I read at the organizational level were to conduct stress management workshops. This is where the HR department brings the employees together and provides just small avenues or ways in which employees are encouraged to engage in self care. I've seen this in my own job as a teacher. We have encouragement to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, going to counseling if we need to, or speaking with someone who is safe, reporting to HR if we need to, or supporting one another. Another way to offset stress in the workplace and to boost stress tolerance is to conduct offsite team builders and games that build community among the coworkers. Another great way to increase stress tolerance is to provide opportunities for people to be mentored by veteran members of the company. And also, some organizations provide counseling services or workshops to encourage healthy eating, diet, and exercise. Emotional intelligence coaching, 6 strategies to build stress tolerance in order to improve emotional intelligence. So, some simple suggestions that were provided in this particular article included spending less time on social media. People often turn to television, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube or other forms of social media as a way to unwind, but in several studies that is shown to actually increase stress, increase feelings of anxiety and depression. So one of the recommendations was to reduce one's time spent online. And another recommendation was to make sure that you're getting around 8 hours of sleep per night so that your body can rejuvenate, reset, and that you're well rested for the next day. Uh, Exercise was another big recommendation I kept reading. Even just taking small steps to walk around the building or park far away before walking into your workplace. Just finding those small ways to get your body moving can improve one's stress tolerance. Also, simply making small eating habit changes. For example, eating out less, making sure you're getting the right nutrients, eating more vegetables and fruit. These small tools are linked to better stress tolerance. And some other tips were more related to other emotional intelligence skills and competencies, such as just having a more optimistic outlook on life and being more flexible, accepting things as they come and go, and just being more self aware by taking assessments to see how you rank in certain stress coping areas. And that is the end of this presentation. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.